Howdy y'all, Joe Hills here, recording as I always do in Nashville, Tennessee, and when some folks look at a blank wall, they think, you know, what an ugly wall. Too bad no one did anything with it. Other people think, this is a beautiful opportunity, a canvas, just waiting to feel the touch of paint, to feel a brush just plastering pigment all over it, creating an amazing sense of expression. And other people look at that wall and they say, Joe, you're looking at the floor. You know, in Minecraft you can't see your feet. But you know what? They say that out of love. It's an expression of love that causes them to criticize my self-image, excluding my little toesies. Okay, fine. I get it. But you know what I really get? Is that when I saw this space, I thought, this is too much, man. We need to do something with it. After a week and a half, no one did. But then, 2.5 weeks later, look at this. Somebody called #ConvexRookies came in here and just totally tagged this wall. And this one over here says Cub was here. I mean, it's a mystery to me who on the server would actually write this, but just the fact that I know that there are folks that wanted to just mix it up a little bit. They said, I don't expect this status quo to be acceptable to the saddest Joe. You know what? I was only sad because I thought, whoa, this is too flat. We need something better. And my folks, my friends, they're go-getters. They did it. So thank you, Convex Rookies, whoever you are. Whoever Cubwa is, I'm glad you was here. You know, that's nice. That's good for everybody. We are making a quick climb and a quick run through the nether, having some fun today. I gotta say, it was a crazy weekend for us here in Nashville, Tennessee. We had the Tough Mudder competition come to town. I had never heard of the Tough Mudder competition. My wife, apparently through her work, a bunch of them were like, hey, we're getting this team together to go do this 5K that involves a bunch of obstacles where you climb out of pits full of mud and you jump into pits full of mud and then you scale walls while you're covered in mud. And my wife was like, oh, hey, you know, do you want to come cheer for me? I thought, oh, that sounds awesome. Yeah, I do. So my daughter and my wife and I all went out there and met up with my wife's coworkers, and it was great. Corinna was a little disappointed that kids aren't allowed to participate. You have to be, well, I say that. 5-year-olds are not allowed to participate. You have to be 7 to participate. But it was just a really good time. One of the things I really liked about the event is it wasn't a traditional race where, like, everybody's out there trying, like, I gotta shave a few seconds off my time. I gotta get another minute down off my best or whatever. You know, like, it's people who are running in groups, and they're moving at the pace of the slowest person in the group, and then they get to these mud pits and these obstacles and these walls they have to climb, or like cages they have to climb underneath. They had this one thing where they had, what do you call that metal fencing? Chain link fencing. Flat. Like above a pit full of water, and you had to like cling to it to keep your face out of the muddy water while you pulled yourself along. It was really cool. But anyway, the people participating in this event are there because they want to do something neat together. And so, like, once you manage to pull yourself out of one of the muddy pits, you are, like, expected to stand there, or not stand there, because you're, like, you would fall over if you stood on top of, like, a mud hill. But, like, you're expected to get back down on your stomach and help pull people up from behind you. You know what I mean? So, you know, you jump into this pit and you start scrambling up this muddy hill and you're pulling yourself out, and people are trying to grab your arms and help you get out, while people in the pit let you stand on their shoulders, you know? You are standing on the shoulders of your peers after they stand on your shoulders, and it's just so neat. It was a really cool event in that it was a competition, but in that, like, you know, yeah, you're trying to see if you can do it. You are competing with your own limitations. And I'm really excited. I think that my wife and I are going to participate in another one Probably not one this year because they're not going to be back to Nashville for a while. But next time they come through town, we're going to try and get a babysitter so that way I'm not on the sidelines with Corinne again. And then when Corinne's 7, she can do it. She can do the kids version with us. It's going to be neat. I love getting outside a little bit and getting outside of town. It's funny because I go to all these events, like PAX and Too Many Games Expo, and I go fly into like Philadelphia or San Antonio, and I get way out of town. But I don't really get to get in the car and go 45 minutes outside of town, outside of Nashville too often. I don't get to just say, hey, I want to be on a farm where somebody got a backhoe and dug a bunch of giant pits and filled them with water so that people could climb in and out of them. You know, that's just not part of my day-to-day experience. And so it's like, it was cool because it's like, I feel like I'm close to home, but I'm also transported to a very different place. Anyway, it was cool. I am looking forward to doing that again, and I just wanted to mention, like, if you get an opportunity to do that, and you're just like, I don't know, I'm on the fence, not everybody there was in super good shape, and like I said, part of the point of it is, even though some of the obstacles might be difficult, you know, folks are trying to help you to succeed at them. They are things that would be difficult for almost any person to overcome individually. You know, so you could look on their website and be like, that seems like a pretty high wall. Be like, well, it is a pretty high wall. But the first guy who got up there was probably the tallest guy standing on the second tallest guy's shoulders. And then he's helping pull up people after him. And then they're helping people pull up after them. It's just, I felt like it was a really interesting community-focused event. And I say community-focused in a way like I go to, these video game conventions, and they're all about, like, sharing our joy, about celebrating, like, we love playing these games, we love making things, we love hanging out, but, like, this was so challenging, and the challenges were addressed so communally that it was really heartening, and I've been trying to think about how you would do something comparable in a video gaming context. Like, the physicality of the challenges, I think, directly contributed to kind of the empowerment of the event in a large way. So it's hard to say exactly that you could do that in a video gaming context. Because, like most video games don't actually let you help your friends directly, even. Like, at best, you could stay out of each other's way. So, I don't know. It's just something interesting to think about. If you guys have any thoughts about that, feel free to leave them in the comments section below. Also, you know, I'm going to say, I am really fortunate that I live in a community where a lot of parents really try to throw good birthday parties for their children. Like, I'm going to tell a story about something I saw that was silly today, but I want to frame it. I want to say, you know, I really appreciate that we get invited to these things, you know, my daughter's classmates and friends and things like that. And these parents, they put a lot of effort into throwing a good birthday party that will entertain children for an hour and a half. That is not an easy thing to do, you know? And just sometimes, though, people make logistical choices where I'm just kind of like, well, that was an interesting one. And so, like, today, when we were leaving the party, every child was given a balloon, like a single balloon, as part of their party favor. Which, party favors are great. Nobody's going to complain about getting a balloon. But every balloon had, like, a 6 to 8 foot string on it. And so when you have, like, 25 kids who are all trying to leave through one narrow door with these balloons with 8 foot strings, all the balloons are just getting twisted and tangled together. I tied my daughters off at, like, the 6-inch mark to something that she could carry, and I was like, we're just gonna kind of skip this. But, you know, it's just one of those things where, like, if you guys are planning any parties, and you're gonna give a whole bunch of children balloons and then have them exit through a narrow door, my advice would be, once again, tie each balloon to something so that they don't all get tangled. It was just funny, because the kids just, they don't understand what's going on. They're just like, why are all the balloons tangled? And, I mean, it's easy enough. Any adult could just be like, okay, we need to untwist these. You know, and so here's the thing. is like, I get self-conscious when I talk about this stuff because I don't want to seem like this guy who's like, all I ever do is complain about people, blah, blah, blah. You know, no, this was a great party. This was just like a few minutes of hilarity that I just wanted to share. Like, it's such a simple thing. You know, and once again, I'm very fortunate to be privileged to be invited to these things. So I don't want to sound like I'm calling anybody out. But yeah, tie off your balloons before you give them to children. I've been thinking about getting a bubble machine. This is kind of related to this because bubble machines are sold at party stores. And the reason I've been thinking about getting a bubble machine is when I take my daughter to the zoo. Every time we go to the zoo, she sees these zoo employees with like these little bubble machines. Like, they're like handheld, motorized bubble blowing machines. And they make soap bubbles float in the air, right? And my daughter's just like, Dad, why can't I have one of those? And I'm like, well, everything they have at the zoo for sale is expensive. No, you don't need that. You can blow bubbles with a piece of plastic in a shape of a circle at the end of a wand, like your parents did. Or you can use a piece of metal in the shape of a circle at the end of a wire, like your grandparents did, or their grandparents. You know, people have been blowing bubbles without motors for a long time. You know, it's fine. We can blow bubbles. We're just not going to get this plastic motorized hippopotamus or zebra-shaped machine that is going to blow the bubbles for you, you know. And so, you know, part of me says, the reason I want a bubble machine is because my daughter's been bothering me about it. And the way, you know, these things work is they get inside your head and you kind of can't stop. But, so then the other day, I was on Twitter, and these guys who made this great YouTube series called Auto-Tune the News, which I was a huge fan of when it launched, and they still do great work. They're called the Gregory Brothers. They've been, I would say, a pretty big influence for me as a comedian. I mean, I'm not doing stuff that's really similar to what they do at all, but just the amount of joy and sense of camaraderie within their group is inspirational, I think. They do a great job. Anyway, they were saying, hey, YouTube added a new thing where people can use emoji or reactions or something to mess with stuff that we're going to plug into outlets in our studio. What should we get? And I was just like, oh, you guys should get a bubble machine. And they replied on Twitter, yeah, that's actually a really good idea. And then I was like, it was a really good idea. And then I was like, why don't I get a bubble machine? So I don't actually have one yet. But what I was kind of thinking was, maybe I don't need a bubble machine for my studio like some, you know, big New York City YouTubers might. But maybe I could get one and I'll just take it to work with me. And when I get hung up on programming problems, I can just turn the bubble machine on and then try to throw, like, plastic Nerf darts at the bubbles until I feel better. Or if my daughter comes to work for the day because, like, her school's closed for, like, I don't know, a holiday or something, and my work is not closed because apparently a lot of holidays that children get are not for grown-ups, which is crazy because you look at a holiday called Veterans Day and you say, like, how many veterans are small children that attend an elementary school? Not many. But, you know, a lot of grown-up adults who go to work are. I don't know. Seems kind of backwards that kids get Veterans Day off and adults don't. But regardless, you know, that's not I'm not in charge. If I wanted to fix it, I should start my own company. That's just how that works. But whatever. Anyway, so I was thinking, like, well, instead of getting this super cheap plastic hippo that blows bubbles with a motor, I could go to party stores and buy, like, a real motorized industrial bubble machine that, like, blows a lot of bubbles really quickly. And so then, when my daughter comes and visits me at work, and she's like, Daddy, I've been sitting here watching shows on the iPad, you know, I want to do something active, I can turn on the bubble machine and say, go pop all the bubbles, ha 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 ha, and then, like, I don't know, turn on the song Cheap Thrills by Sia or something, and then she can have her own little bubble poppin' dance party while I continue to solve programming problems or whatever, build websites, you know? And this to me seems like a very reasonable justification. I checked, the best bubble machine you can get seems to be about $10,000 on Amazon. But when I looked into it, basically somebody took a $30 bubble machine and then marketed it up to $10,000 on Amazon and hoped nobody would notice. So the ceiling for like what a really good bubble machine is $30, which is like for like a really good one that plugs into the wall and has a really deep bubble fluid tray and a rotary thing and a continuous blower, quiet, almost silent operation. You can get a lot of bubble blowing for $30. And that doesn't sound too bad. But yeah, I don't know. I'm thinking about it, and I haven't really... The only thing I could kind of see being a problem is if the bubble fluid got all over all the computers or something somehow, or like caused a problem with like priceless artwork that happened to be outside my office for some reason. Like that could be where things get a little bit dicey. But yeah, I thought about like, well, what if I really go all in on this? What does that look like? Because look, guys, the Joe Hills difference is I don't really have a good idea of what is or isn't a good idea. I can barely assess my own ideation skills. So, at that point, it's just like, what if I bought a bunch of different bubble machines? And then I just found a way to make that work by doing a bunch of YouTube video reviews of all the different bubble machines, right? Because, like, you might think, Joe, how many bubble machines do you need to review? And the answer is apparently one, because when I looked online, all of the best bubble machines are just basically the same $30 bubble machine that I saw marked up to $10,000 on Amazon at one point. They're just all the same machine. Like, I think people are taking the sticker off it and rebranding it, or maybe they're paying the same factory to make a bubble machine that has their logo instead of the other one. But it's like, from the photographs, they're clearly all the same machines. If you want a real good bubble machine, somebody solved that problem. That problem is solved, and you can just go get that one. So, yeah, those reviews would probably get a little bit repetitive pretty quick. So I think I'm going to skip the YouTube bubble machine review show concept. I'll leave that to people who specialize in mechanism review. I haven't actually watched any bubble machine reviews on YouTube, because I did most of my, like, a lot of times when I'm, like, doing research on stuff like that, I'm, like, on my phone or something as I'm walking around or as I'm on the bus or something. So I can't, like, just watch a video. But, Anyway, you guys might have noticed, we are out here gathering a ton of terracotta, also known as clay, because in Minecraft, we need to build a Halloween store. And we have got to be prepared to get that shop open for business. So we are just going to kind of keep hitting things with a pickaxe until we have enough terracotta that we're sure we don't have to run back here. Because running to and from here takes me a while. So, yeah, let's just see. This has been a pretty good resource gathering expedition, though. We've got at least one shulker box full of stacks. And the sun's still pretty low in the sky. High in the sky, whichever. Like those apple pie hopes, you know, the way we want them. Let's see, has anything else interesting happened this weekend? Oh, I bought a Nintendo Switch, finally. I don't know if you guys need a review of the Nintendo Switch, because you probably already either have one or know that you don't want one. I'm kind of one of those people where I kept putting off buying one, because I was just like, I don't have any time to play it right now. And last week was insanely hectic, the whole week. I had a going away party for a retiring coworker. I'm so happy for her. Her and her husband, they owned a bar in Nashville that they were able to sell and make a good profit on. That was in addition to the day job she had working with me. And they also sold their condo. Now they're buying a sailboat and hanging out in the Caribbean. And, you know, like, I know so many people who always dream of stuff like that, and they put it off, and then something happens, like one of the spouses gets injured, or they run into a problem with money or something, and then they just say, well, guess we're not doing that. And so it's heartening to see that there are folks who actually can get out there and do it. It's great. So yeah, we had an amazing going away party for her. Like, we hung out for like 6.5 hours. At one point, there were like 25 people there. And this was all like after work, not like, oh yeah, we had an office party and everybody came down. This was after work, like 25 people showed up and we hung out in this restaurant that we hang out in a lot. And it was just wonderful. It was a good time. But anyway, so that completely ate my entire Wednesday though. So no recording on Wednesday. But yeah, so it was a crazy busy week. And at the end of that week, I was looking at it and I was like, man, Nintendo just announced even more cool games that are coming out around Thanksgiving. And I know I'm going to have a ton of time to play the Switch on my Thanksgiving and Christmas breaks. But if I wait until Thanksgiving and Christmas to buy one, I might not be able to get one. And then I'm just going to be upset because it's like, well, I had the time to buy it before and just not the time to play it. I should have just bought it and kept it in the box or whatever. I didn't actually keep it in the box. I bought it, and I bought that Octopath Traveler game, which if you like Japanese RPGs, it's a pretty good one. Those Square Enix folks, they know what they're doing. They've been finally fantasizing for years, and turns out they know how to dream. It's good. So anyway, Octopath Traveler, I'm only maybe 3 or 4 hours in, because I don't, like I said, don't have a ton of time. But I got to play that at that kid's birthday party earlier today. Like, if you're going to be, sitting around at a kid's birthday party while the kids all have fun, you might as well play a video game. So yeah, it's fun being able to just take the Nintendo Switch, to a child's birthday party and play it, And I'm a big fan so far of Octopath Traveler. It's got like 8 different characters you get to choose from at the beginning of the game, and they all have their own stories, and you kind of figure out what order you want to have them interact and overlap. It's only my first playthrough, so I don't know. I get the sense that there's a lot of depth to the game that you would only see if you played it multiple times, which, hey, that's good. Because, when I bought the Switch, I was like, I didn't buy it as part of like a value pack with other games or anything. It was just, okay, I'll buy a standalone Nintendo Switch and one standalone game. I thought to myself, maybe I should buy a second game. Then I was like, no, Joe, no. You don't have time to play the first game as much as you would like. You're just going to be mad that you bought all these games and you couldn't play them. Wait until, Thanksgiving break when you have free time. Then go buy the games. The games aren't going to sell out. They're not going to run out of Mario Odyssey. You can play it later. Anyway, I'm just really happy with the Nintendo Switch. It seems like a really fun system so far. I don't know if I'm going to be like YouTubing or streaming it, because part of the value of it is I can play it on the bus, like when I'm going to or from work or stuff. So it's not necessarily, I wouldn't necessarily be playing it a lot like when it's a good time to stream. I'd be playing it a lot when I don't have anything else to do. I don't know, just either way, it's pretty cool. I'm excited. Maybe if there's interesting games that I can get YouTube permission for, we'll consider it, but I'm not sure which games even do that on the Switch. Nintendo's been kind of locking that stuff down for the last few years, so. Anyway, where were we? We were just running around, pickaxing, smiling, having a good time. Okay, the sun is starting to go down. It's not all the way down yet, but I kind of get the sense that we don't want to be hanging out here indefinitely. We probably want to run back because our pickaxe is getting a little low. We're going to need to take the 3 remaining diamonds we have and repair it, which is not necessarily my best favoritist way to use diamonds, but it is a great way to not die, which, well, wait, no, it's a great way to not lose your pickaxe. Although I guess if you lose your pickaxe, you could die of pickaxe withdrawal, which usually occurs when a pickaxe is very close to your heart and severs your brachial artery, and then instead of continuously applying pressure with the pickaxe, somebody removes the pickaxe before the surgeon can be reached. And then, boom, pickaxe withdrawal. You bleed out. Anyway, wow, that got really morbid really fast. Thanks, Halloween, getting me thinking about all this stuff. What was I also thinking about? Oh, yeah, we should probably head out before this gets too nuts. Thank you guys so much for joining me today for this, I was going to say, this little rant episode. I don't think I really ranted. I think I just shared a few things that made me happy. Coworkers who get to retire and hang out in the Caribbean. Kids' birthday parties where everybody has a great time, and then a few balloons get tangled. Just little things. Little things going wrong, little things going right, big things going right. Retiring to the Caribbean, buying a boat. That's a big thing. That's not a little thing. It's a little thing to me in that it's not like I'm going to retire in the Caribbean, but it's a big thing for them, and I want to celebrate this big thing for them. I don't know. Maybe it is a big thing for me because, like, I'm really excited for my coworker, but like it's their thing. I don't know. Anyway, we should probably flee before the sun sets and the mobs capture us, and then they say, "Who are you working for?" And we say, "No one." And they say, "Don't believe you." And then they start like hitting us with bows and arrows and explosive blasts, and they're like, "Who are you working for?" And they're screaming at us, pouring buckets of lava on our head. You know, we just don't need that kind of pressure, that kind of negativity in our lives right now. So we're just gonna head through this portal. Actually, I probably do want to turn night into day if I can, just so that when I come back out on the other side, it's not night time. But either way, I don't want to jinx myself by running back with too much material. Oh, no, more importantly, I don't want to jinx myself by breaking my pickaxe. So, anyway, until next time, y'all, this is Joe Hills from Nashville, Tennessee. Keep it adventuring.